shooting, as Bob says.
Yes.
In between shooting.
Yeah,
In between partying, we would shoot.
Yeah.
pretty much. And we would go back after shooting either at Old Tucson, where we did all the interior stuff, and the university, where we did other stuff. And, you know, they were long days and hot days. It was in, you know, Arizona, and we would, you know, just need to blow off a little steam by the end of the day. And we did that.
We blew off some steam.
Blew off some steam.
I'll give you a little insight. We would film all day, and then at night, as Curtis says, we would go out. We'd stay up all night and party, seriously, party. And then we'd line up to get our B12 shots the next day so we could function.
I was first.
Ladies first, yes.
Good group of guys.
I don't know about them, but I was studying my script.
You didn't have no lines!
One line.
That's why I was the funniest one in the movie. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, we're partying tonight.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, who's coming to the party tonight?
Yeah, there's a rumor going around that whoever knows the rap is actually going to be invited on stage to do it with me. Oh! I'm going to choose 3 people, 3 humans, and please understand that knowing it from your couch is different than knowing it on stage.
That's right.
But that's
Because
okay.
I'm great in my shower. I don't know about you guys. I don't mess up nothing in the shower. Stage, a little different.
All right, so somebody has to do that. Yeah, you guys have to come and do the nerd rap.
Yes.
But yes, in answer to your question, yes, we did have gatherings from time to time.
You guys are being so cool.
And if you notice, all of us, we're all trying to figure out what we can share.
I think we're pretty good. I mean, the only one who would not show up to our parties, we had good parties. We were always, what was great about it was that they were sort of mixtures of nerds and jocks. So we would have, like, all of us, and occasionally Ted McGinley would show up. But Don, we never saw Don. And when he says that he was in his room studying...
He's not telling
I doubt it.
I was meeting chicks.
Yeah, and I don't know who he was partying with, but it wasn't us.
Chicks.
A lot of chicks.
I remember one time we were partying. True story. We're partying. I don't know whose room it was. Maybe it was yours, Bobby. But there was these 2 guys that came in because we didn't know.
John Goodman's room. It was John Goodman's
Well, you know
room.
what? Listen, the 2 guys who came in and we were singing, "You can't always get what you want." And they were trying to get us to be quiet. So in between the hotel people, because we were kind of loud. So in between singing, "You can't always get what you want. You don't have to stomp your feet. You can't always get on the second floor."
Yeah.
But 2 people snuck in to that gathering, and later on we found out, if you guys remember, we found that they actually just robbed the store. And they
True story.
joined for cover. We didn't know. We just like, "Oh, you want to party? Come in."
Everybody thought they were someone else's friends, and in fact, they just held up a liquor store.
I was meeting chicks.
I've never done an interview or a panel with 7 people. This is exactly how I imagined it would go. So just
Never had me either. Scary thought.
Did you guys have any idea when you made this film the impact it would have on nerd culture? Because I grew up in the 80s, and before Revenge of the Nerds came out, comic books, video games, you didn't talk about those things in front of people. Now, we're at a comic book convention, we're celebrating this film. Did you guys have any idea that this is what it was going to turn into?
Yes. I know it had an impact on my liver.
I had no clue.
I had no clue either. But I don't...
Me either.
Oh, yeah. I think that we weren't aware, this is 1984, so there's not a lot of nerd culture yet at all. I mean, on the big level. There weren't a lot of big cons, you know, cable and video is starting out, but it hasn't really taken over. So there's a lot of stuff, internet, which hasn't happened yet. So that nerds... Thank you, Don.
He's paying you to talk about him.
I dropped my wallet. Thanks.
I took his wallet.
Notice I didn't count the money because I know it wouldn't be worth it anyway. So we didn't think of it in terms of being like the beginning of a big thing. And then it sort of over years became a big thing, which was delightful, but I don't know that any of us expected it.
You know what's kind of cool is when you do a film, you don't necessarily have the luxury of getting to know your cast members before, spend some time with them. And with us, we were lucky enough to have like 2, almost 3 weeks of rehearsal time. And what we did is we come up with different things and we just, you know, interact amongst one another. But really what we did was we kind of had the ability to bond with one another. And so, James Bond. No,
I was reading chicks.
But so what was so interesting is when we started shooting, it wasn't necessarily the best stuff. I don't think the studio was very happy with everything we were doing. And so ultimately what happened is it evolved into some of us, if not all of us, coming up with a lot of our own bits and a lot of our own things. Like Curtis and I, we did a whole bunch of stuff that was never in the script, as did everybody. And what I think it was the fact that we so enjoyed each other, that because we did have that opportunity to bond, I think there was something special just from the beginning that kind of maybe translated into what the film became. I lost my accent, by the way. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm Takashi.
Actually, Brian's exactly right, and we got to give a lot of that credit to our director, Jeff Canoe, who created the environment for us to play in. And it got to the point, I can remember, especially Tim Busfield was 90 today, we got to the point where we were just trying to crack each other up.
Yeah.
And if we figured if we laughed, hopefully, others would.
Yeah, and it's usually the other way around. You know, the more fun you have on a movie set, usually the worse the movie turns out, because everybody's too busy making each other laugh and having a good time, and then people go, "What? I don't understand that." But the thing with Brian and me, for example, was that the first card playing scene in the gym, which wasn't in the script. And the director was filming Bobby and Tony doing something else, and he just said to us, "Come up with something, I'm coming to you next." And we don't know, it's like the second day or third day of shooting, something like that. And so we got a pack of cards and started messing around, and that was what we came up with. And then we became sort of a team for the rest of the movie. So every time they needed something to shoot, they'd say, where's Brian and Curtis?
Just do something. Do your thing.
So, you know, it happened a lot, and the nerd rap, which Larry's talking about, that happened because of Larry. I mean, there was always a nerd rap going to be there, but it was Larry who made that come together with Andrew, small Andrew.
He danced his tail off.
He danced.
Mikey.
That guy danced. So,
And
you
Jane
know.
Fonda, for me, Jane Fonda was big back then. And the Jane Fonda workout was really big back then. So Lamar was just trying to look good.
Not for you, not for Larry B. For Lamar. I have to keep reminding him, man. It's Larry B. Lamar.
And for me, on set, I was in my method days, so I stayed in character. So you guys now know that I'm straight, but back then they didn't know. And I stayed in.
I didn't know that.
It still hasn't hit some people.
Sorry, Larry.
It's okay, man. It's your
Larry.
time, man. It's your time.
Larry, you weren't in character back in your room.
No, not in the room. This is stuff y'all came for here.
Hey, so Eric, did Did you have any questions? Thank you for moderating.
Before I turn it to the audience, and do you guys have some questions for Lando up here? Yeah. All right, I do have one, and this is for you, Robert.
No dumb questions here.
Have you noticed how much your outfit in Revenge of the Nerds, when you go into the moonwalk, resembles Kylo Ren? And did they steal that from you?
Yes.
I noticed it the other night, and I thought they had to have taken some sort of influence from your Darth Vader-esque outfit to what Kylo Ren's
I
helmet.
think it's just a cinematic coincidence.
Actually, what I think it was we didn't have the rights to Darth Vader, and so they, isn't that right?
I think you're right.
And they manipulated it. They changed it at the last minute so that it wasn't really Darth Vader, and that's the reason.
And that was a 20th Century Fox film at the time, too, which we were.
Don wants to tell you something.
What if CAT really spelled dog?
People don't know. We'll pay for it later.
Laugh loudly. You nerds. Only kill the little ones.
Let's go ahead and get some questions from the audience.
Going right here. I understand Brian has done a great many voiceovers. Is that true?
Oh, God.
Yes, I've done a few.
He's planted, isn't he?
He's from Los Angeles.
That's your agent.
No, actually, he's from Australia by way of Los Angeles. Yes, he has done a few different vocal
Such as?
things. I don't know. One of them is like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I don't know if any of you saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I'm Leonardo in the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
Look how long it, dude. As well as a few other things along the line. Quite a bit, though. Thank you for asking. Welcome to Colorado.
You guys have a question, please put your hand up and they'll bring you a mic.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for one of the greatest movies I grew up on. I still watch it almost every single month with my mom. Wow. Like, not to be all, I'm a huge Carradine Family fan. Thank you. Huge fan. And Booger and Ogre were 2 of my favorite characters.
Did you say ogre? You can stay. And are you crying? Yeah, you can stay, thank you. The rest of you can leave.
Hey guys,
Any other questions?
I was wondering if you guys...
Any rags? Any bones?
Right here. I was wondering if you guys can have a burping contest between Booger and Ogre.
That was completely rigged.
That's kind of an interesting story, though, the burping thing.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
The
yeah.
burping thing.
Okay.
Is that an interesting story?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. It's, of course, it's not us belching, because they need, that's not humanly possible. So,
He was farting.
That is humanly possible.
well, so Tim Busfield was in post-production with our director, Jeff, and they're doing the belching contest. And they cannot find a belch for Booger that lasts long enough and rich and fruity and liquid enough for their purposes. Well, I'm sorry.
Because he couldn't beat me fair and square.
So they finally start looking through recordings from the animal kingdom. And they find, truth to tell, a camel in the process of mating with another camel. So what you are actually hearing is a combination of a human belch and a camel orgasm.
Rub
I go back and watch it.
From his mouth.
Hello, everyone. Again.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so I'm just wondering, in the various areas in which you live, are you ever noticed kind of in the wild, walking down the street, hey, you're that character from that movie, and then, Bobby, you wanted me to remind you to do the laugh at some point.
That's Bobby's agent.
You're so funny.
How'd you come up with that, Bobby?
I was taught to laugh by the actor that played my father, James Cromwell. It was the night before we were going to start shooting, and the script had said the nerd had a honking laugh, and I had not come up with it. And I told the director, Jeff, I said, I still don't have the laugh. He said, here, watch this. And he put in James Cromwell's audition tape where he does the laugh. And I was blown away. I thought, man, that laugh is really up, you know? So I find James and I say, hey man, your laugh is really bad, man. He says, it's not my laugh. I said, oh, it's a technique? He said, yeah. I said, show me. You know, like father, like son. So I learned it from James Cromwell. That's right. That led to big.
I know, right? Working with pigs.
What kind of interactions do you guys have with the fans? I'm sure you do get recognized from this film pretty often, correct?
Yeah, we charged them.
I mean, we do. It happens a lot, and you know, it's gratifying for the most part. But when you're Booger, there are specific interactions which sometimes are a little problematic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people. Well, you know, I mean, people belching at you and picking their nose,
Or doing the laugh.
or doing the laugh.
I'm
I
telling
mean, you know, if they can do it.
You know, in Los Angeles, everybody's kind of numbed because they see movie people around.
Right.
So, you know, they might look, but they don't really like react because they're too cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
I get Lamar!
Well, oh, actually, that was kind of funny too, because when we did 2, we were in Fort Lauderdale during spring break. And by that time, it was only a few years later, but by that time, 1 was really in the culture. People really knew it and it was on video and all. And so there were all of these co-eds on the picture, all of whom assumed he was gay. Because
I was gay.
they only knew him from the first movie. And Larry is there going, wait a minute.
And they come to me and say, what do you think about this color? For my skirt. I was, you know, I'm flattered because they believed it, but
at the same time,
You couldn't meet chicks.
I never made it to the level of ogre, ever.
But then again, who has?
I went to the audience.
Brian, during the liquid heat and the jocks,
Yes.
was the it's just like salad. Was that meant to be in there, or did you ad-lib that as well?
No, that's another one of those things where that wasn't scripted, and the director let us kind of play, and so it looks like salad is something that just kind of came out. Yeah.
Ted's line was that lip to you too, right?
Yes, yeah. The jock. Yeah, like when Ted McGinley put the jock, you know, do you know karate? I go, well, no. And he sticks the jock on my head. Yeah, that wasn't scripted either. Had I read that in the script, I don't know if I would have been in this. Yeah, I was shown up for the scene. I don't know. I wish he cleaned it beforehand.
Now you understand the look on his face.
When you guys went from part 1 to part 2, Two Nerds in Paradise, was it just like, hey, the party's starting all over again, except we're going to do it in Fort Lauderdale this time as opposed to Arizona?
Yes.
Company move.
No.
And I met a lot of chicks.
Yeah, no.
My only line, that's all I gotta say. That's all you told me to say. Curtis told me to say that, that's all I know how to say.
I had nothing to do with that. We didn't know. The thing was in those days, you didn't do a movie and just assume there would be another one. And, there were a lot of people who thought it was probably a bad idea. Originally, 20th Century Fox refused to do sequels. And then they lifted that injunction against sequels, and the first one, right? The first one they greenlit was Nerds 2. So,
Yeah, when we were in Fort Lauderdale, we were riding around in a convertible, and everywhere we went, people were going, "Booger! Booger!"
yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember now. That and the chicks. I remember that. Yeah, occasionally, but only.
That was my line.
I'm sorry. Yeah, which is really weird.
What does that mean?
Goop. Well, it was from Clan of the Cave Bear, which was one of my other successful films that no one's ever seen. Oh, come on. Really? Have you? Bet you didn't know I was in it. There you go. We were all playing cave people, so we're not recognizable. Anyway, but yeah.
You were very recognizable from
Risky Business.
Risky Business.
But that came out during. Before. Yeah.
Just before,
Yeah. Risky Business was my first movie.
Small little act you did with, what's his name?
What's that?
Bill Cruz.
Bill Cruz.
He hasn't aged very
He hasn't
well.
done anything since.
I thought he had a lot of potential, though. What? What? Oh, Better Off Dead too. Yeah, that was after.
Moonlighting.
All right, now enough of that.
I'm Curtis's agent.
Believe me, I wish.
Yeah.
Hire him or else.
And he won't tell you, but he's actually very, very learned. He's the writer of the bunch.
Well, no.
I don't know if anybody's read it. I mean, he has an amazing book, which is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, actually, a lot of Revenge of the Nerd stories are in that book, called, weirdly, Revenge of the Nerd. So,
And how did that come about? How did you get the role of Booger? That's one of my favorite stories.
Well, I auditioned for Anthony Edwards' part, Gilbert. And they said, and they called back and they said, well, we really loved Curtis, but we've already cast it with Anthony Edwards. And I'm going, who the f- is Anthony Edwards? And they said, and Robert Carradine, and I went, oh, well, okay, Robert Carradine, I can get that. And they said, but we did love him and we would like him to play another nerd. And I'm running through the script in my head and I'm thinking, well, I'm too old for Wormser. Lamar is out of the question. So is Takashi. And I put it together that it was probably Booger. And I went off on my agent and I said, absolutely not. Forget it. I am a classically trained actor. I have played Shakespeare, and I'm not getting on a film in front of millions of people and pick my nose and belch for anybody. So if they tell you, Booger, you say no. Absolutely not, I refuse. And they called me back a little later and they said, well, they offered you Booger. I said, okay, I'll take it. Yeah, me too. But you have to say that sort of stuff to make you feel like, you're in control, even if you're not.
What are some of you guys' favorite memories, maybe not necessarily from set, but from what this movie has provided for you, whether it's friendships between each other, camaraderie. What do you guys think of when you think of this film?
Yes.
John's about to say something.
We made money.
So you know, really,
Julie, take it away.
No, I was saying Don is about to say something.
I kept that one in.
No, but for me, one of the best things about Revenge of the Nerds is the cast up here. I mean, we're all friends. I mean, we
Totally friends.
love each other. We're like a little family, and it's we
We
don't
actually
get
hang out with each other when y'all aren't around.
Yeah, we'll actually talk to one another.
Yeah.
That's bigger than you know. Most of the time it's, I'm paid to be here, I do my feed, what time are we done?
And also, I don't really like you.
We have each other's phone numbers.
No, there's a lot of films where people are behind the scenes like this. You know, they want to get camera time. They want to get. I mean, it's really competitive and could be difficult sometimes. With this, from the very beginning, we bonded. We became friends. And
James
all
Bond.
these years later, we've remained friends. What's that, Bobby?
James Bond.
And one of the things that probably sounds corny, but looking back, it was the norm that we cheered for each other when the other person. Normally, I give you a little bit of set info. Normally, when you shoot a scene, you shoot it one way, and then you shoot what they call reverse. They take the camera and shoot it the other direction. In a lot of scenes, and they can tell you, I've done a lot of films when they do the reverse. The person I'm supposed to be talking to is not there. I'm literally talking to an ex because that person is too busy to work with the actor.
And it's like Don, he was studying his lines.
Yeah, Don was never there.
I would go in my room and study my lines so that I was a professional actor.
Those poor girls.
We really would sit there.
I never liked any of these guys, so don't be fooled.
And that's probably what I remember. The other thing I remember, and we don't really like to talk about this, but it gave us, well, not for some of these folks already had it, Curtis and Bobby, but it gave me notoriety. And as an actor, that's what you want. You want to be recognized for what you do. Yeah. It's 30 years later. Being gay is okay now. 1984, not so much. So for me, it was a little bit different because I had a little different kind of dynamic going. It was the first time that, well, in a while, that a successful film had a black actor in it. I was happy about that. A lot of the brothers were going like, man, you finally got it in a black movie, you got to be gay. so my name was, that's him. But then they realized that they did other work that I wasn't, and I really was just trying, as an actor, I wanted a challenge because I've done this before them before, and the reason I did Lamar was because the roles before Lamar, this was it. I'ma cut you, man. Come on. So I just wanted to do something different as an actor. That was totally different.
Could you give us a little Lamar then, and could do a little Lamar?
Oh, Lamar. Okay, my audition for Lamar.
Yeah, do your audition.
My audition for Lamar, I came in character. So I obviously did not have this on, but I did have a t-shirt on. And you have to hold that for a second. I had a t-shirt on, and so what I did was, first thing I did was I held it up. And I liked it. And then when I came in, I did the character, I came in, I did it in character, and the casting director couldn't stop laughing. And she was like, give me a second, I'll be right back. And she went and got Jeff Canoe, and I did it for him, and they were like, okay. Jeff couldn't stop laughing, and he said, but you need to come back. And as an actor, you don't really want to come back, you want to be told you have the role. Yes. So I came back, and there were more people in the room. Gremlins. And then I did Lamar, I came in, by then I had some boots, I didn't have heels flats were in then. So I wore some flats and I did it for them and I got Lamar and I got lucky, and you just never know.
Can you do that turn thing as you walk away?
My turn thing as I walk away, you mean the turn? No! Now you got me sending mixed messages. That's how it happened to me. It's different for everybody. That's how it happened to me.
I think we need to hear the reactions to this movie from someone who is only 10.
What was it for you? How did it come to you?
There was nothing nefarious that went on at all. Absolutely not. It was all on the up and up.
As a kid, you have to go to school. There's rules. You have to go to school. So I'm sequestered from a lot of the things. But I saw the aftermath of a lot of the nights of partying. I don't know exactly how the telephone in the lobby of the hotel got ripped out of the wall, or there was a bunch of. Somebody had thrown stuff off of the second floor balcony, like the entire contents of their room.
Not me.
Like the whole furniture. That was. I think that was like good news.
Why is everybody looking at me? I was a classically trained actor. I just want to be like my buddy Curtis. So when they offered me the role of Ogre, I said, no way. I'm a classically trained actor. I'm about ready to do Shakespeare in the park.
Did you like the transition of Ogre from the first movie to you are officially Tri-Lamb at the end of the second movie? Did you like that?
You know, the funny thing is I actually, in my mind, through the first one, I had decided that I was going to make Ogre somebody that just didn't understand stuff. So when they called me in the second one and said, we're going to make you a nerd, I'm thinking, oh, it worked. It worked. Because, you know, I didn't want to make, you know, I saw the script and I always tell Curtis this story. I was hired, I was a stuntman when I first started. Classically trained actor stuntman. But I got down there and they hired me and all the lines that I had were gone. It said, Ogre stands here. Ogre stands here. Ogre stands here. So I'm like, what happened to my dialogue? You know? So finally they put it back in after I did a few things because, you know, they realized I was a classically trained actor like that. And so yeah, I knew what I was doing in the first one. I didn't want to make Ogre because, you know, he came off as this just mean jock. And I thought, if I just make Ogre somebody that really doesn't understand what, you know, they're doing, and it worked. So I got paid in the second one too, and I met chicks.
I need you guys to understand something very important. The second script was horrible. For one thing, they wrote me on page 6 as cheating on Lewis.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was my reaction after the whole movie. I felt I was of some importance to the script. And so I'm like, well, no, I can't do that role. And then I spoke to Curtis. He said, nope, they weren't changing lines. Don't come. Obviously, he was seeing a lot of different women. That was probably the reason he didn't want.
Wait a minute, are you talking about Curtis or Bobby?
The whole group of them. I was sort of like the mom of all of them, sort of, mostly.
Wait a minute, I don't remember any of this that way. Are you talking about
All right,
in the
well, I'm
first
changing
movie?
little tiny things.
Yeah, that's actually bigger than tiny. In the first movie, you were mom to all of us?
Not fully.
Not
everyone.
really.
No, but I was sort of looking out to most. But
Yeah, okay,
there
Mama.
was others that But my point is that that's why I wasn't in the second one, which is why I refused to join in this conversation. And just to say that I held up the honor of Betty, because I'm sure I wouldn't have been in the other 3 and 4, which I don't know who saw, but still, I'm married and had nerd children, and I was loyal. I never cheated with another job.
That's right.
Thank you,
Saying,
Thank you, Mommy.
never get away with anything with Dawn.
I brought my phone down.
I thought you made a poopy.
I wasn't Curtis's mommy.
Hey, all right.
Before we get out of here, guys, they're giving me the rap signal over there. There is talk that this Revenge of the Nerds can potentially going to be rebooted. Is that something that you guys would ever be involved in, or is that... Yeah, Robert has something to say.
Yes.
Many words. Short and sweet.
Would you really be down with that?
Oh, yeah.
To come back as Lewis?
Yeah.
Okay.
We would.
Well, to speak to that, I think they tried filmmakers. Well, you know, let me.
That's right. Andrew's actually got a script.
You're a congressman.
I know where you live.
Congressman Ogre.
Shakespearean Congressman.
He votes the way they tell him to.
Well, if you guys are all involved, I think this is a reboot. Everyone in this room could probably get behind, right? We just don't want new nerds.
No new nerds.
All right, guys. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. I never thought I would get to sit on stage with the Tri-Lambs.
For
You didn't sit on stage. You ended up down there.
But it was nice having you up here with us for most of it.
98% of the interview on stage.
I was on stage for a while. Ogre pushed me.
Ogre actually helped me, so yeah, you're right there for me. I appreciate that. But I'm gonna introduce him one more time. After I'm done, can we please get as loud as we can? Robert Carradine, Curtis Armstrong, Larry B. Scott, Brian Tochi, Julia Montgomery, Donald Gibb, and Andrew Cassess. Revenge of the Nerds.